Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, it's time to take a look at another Bible story from the Old Testament, but unlike the last few biblical movies I blogged, which were decent in their own ways, this one isn't going to be a good one. But before we get into the blog itself, let's talk about the story of Noah's Ark. Now, according to the book of Genesis, after years of sins, God made a plan to flood the entire earth with rain. But at the same time, God instructs a man named Noah to build an ark in order to prevent him, along with his family, and 2 of each animal to be safe from drowning. In my opinion, this was a really interesting story. During my youth, there were a few versions of the Noah story that I knew about, like the song Elementary, My Dear from Schoolhouse Rock, which taught children how to multiply by 2, and there was an episode of Rugrats where Tommy and his gang made an ark in their own special way. Also, Evan Almighty got to build a modern-day style ark. A Noah's Ark movie called Little Archangel was featured in Cats Don't Dance. Plus, Disney had a few Noah's Ark stories done in a Silly Symphony cartoon. A 1959 stop-motion short, and a segment in Fantasia 2000 starring Donald Duck and Daisy. Also, my friends at Musical Theater Village are doing a musical version of Noah's Ark called Get in the Boat, where I play a young sinner named Ahaz and a bull on the ark. However, the version of Noah's Ark that I have to blog today makes those versions seem like classics in comparison. So, let's just get this over with. Released on March 28th, 2014, the movie is Noah. Now let's get started. When God decides that mankind has become too sinful and must be wiped off the face of the earth, he chooses Noah for a great task. Noah must build an ark large enough to hold his wife, adopted daughter, 3 sons, and their wives, plus breeding pairs of every animal. When the task is completed, Noah and his family witness God's wrath in the form of an apocalyptic flood. So, what are my thoughts? It's bad. But let's move on to Mustang notes and I'll explain. Darren Aronofsky first became interested in the story of Noah in the 7th grade. As part of a creative writing assignment, he submitted a poem about Noah entitled The Dove. Years later, after finishing the movie Pi, Aronofsky was searching for ideas for his next movie and thought of a movie about Noah, which would be a good idea for him. Work on the script began in 2000, but Aronofsky put the project on hold when he learned that Hallmark was already working on a similar movie. Work on the draft resumed sometime later, and a first draft was completed in 2003. In adapting the story for a feature-length film, Aronofsky struggled with how to adapt it to feature-length. The story in the Bible is only 4 chapters and does not include names for Noah's wives or his son's wife. The text does mention Noah getting drunk after the flood and getting into an, altercation with one of his sons, which provided Aronofsky and his team with ideas into what events could have taken place on the ark. Aronofsky first discussed Noah with The Guardian in April 2007, explaining that he saw Noah as a dark, complicated character who experiences real survivors' guilt after the flood. Aronofsky was working on early drafts of the script for Noah around the time. His first attempt to make The Fountain fell through when actor Brad Pitt left the project. Ari Handel, Aronofsky's collaborator on The Fountain, The Wrestler, and Black Swan, helped him develop the script. Before they found financial backing for Noah, they collaborated with Canadian artist Nico Henrichsen to adapt the script into a graphic novel. The first volume of the graphic novel was released in a French language by Belgian publisher Lee Lombard in October 2011, under the title Noah, for the Cruelty of Men. After the creation of the graphic novel, Aronofsky struck a deal with Paramount and New Regency to produce a feature-length film of Noah with a budget of $130 million. Screenwriter John Logan was asked to redraft the script alongside Aronofsky, but it is not credited for his contributions. Principal photography began in July 2012 in several locations in southern Iceland. Filming also took place in New York State. A set representing Noah's Ark was built at the Planting Field Arboretum in Upper Brookville. In September 2012, while on break from a location on Long Island, Russell Crowe and a friend, both of whom had been kayaking for several hours, were rescued by the Coast Guard near Cold Spring Harbor. Production was put on hold when Hurricane Sandy subjected New York to heavy rain and flooding during late October 2012. Now, while I do think the movie is bad, I don't really mean 100% of it is. I mean, this is Darren Aronofsky's highest grossing film to date, and it's been praised for its direction and performances. But, unfortunately, the movie generated controversy and was banned in several Muslim countries because it was seen as contradicting the teachings of Islam. Also, I think the movie does pretty good when capturing the story's time period, as well as the prologue, which references the story of Adam and Eve. Plus, the effects for the Great Flood are really intense. I also do like that they include two of each animal for this movie, like birds, reptiles, insects, and others. However, to me, the ark featured in this movie doesn't look good. It looks more like a rectangular prism, and not how most Bible illustrations make it look like. Also, the writing is a tad off in my opinion. Like how Noah is chosen by God to build an ark just because Noah had a vision of the great flood in his dreams, with the addition of a seed that came from the Garden of Eden, which conjured up a spring and an entire forest. If anything, an angel should have given Noah the message, not a dream. Also, there's these stone giants called Watchers. In the movie, these things are friends of Methuselah, and they do God's bidding by helping humanity. While I do think that the Watchers are cool looking, they unfortunately don't exist in the Bible. But despite that fact, I do like that they assist Noah with building the ark and defend him and his family from a mob of sinners. But anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, let's move on to the cast. Our title character, Noah, is played by Russell Crowe. Now, to be honest, while he is a great actor, I'm not really a huge fan of Russell's filmography, even though the only film I've seen him in, other than this was Les Miserables from 2012. As for what I think of this version of Noah, well, he starts out okay, but as the movie progresses, I start to dislike him because he abandons his effort of finding wives for his sons and begins believing that God wants all of humanity dead. Heck, even on the Ark, he attempts to kill his future grandchildren if they are girls. Gee, that's just messed up, don't you think? Noah's wife, Nameh, is played by Jennifer Connelly, who got to be in Labyrinth with David Bowie and Nine. Nameh is the only descendant of Cain who is righteous. She is seen as almost an equal to Noah. She consults with him about the Ark and about raising their children. Oddly, though, Tubal-Cain's sister in the Bible is named Nameh, though we know nothing about her, and it's not very clear that she was alive when Noah was. Also, fun fact, in Get in the Boat that I perform in, Noah's wife is named Samlah. Next we come to Noah's adopted daughter, Elah, played by Hermione Granger herself, Emma Watson, who got to be in The Tale of Despero and the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie from last year. Elah was a lone survivor of her village after everyone was killed. A few years later, after being taken in by Noah's family, she has a romantic relationship with Noah's oldest son, Shem, and the two later get married. Elah becomes pregnant after the rain stops when the flood began. In my opinion, Elah is a character whom I feel sympathy for. Plus, I think she and Shem make a sweet couple, even though, in Get in the Boat, Shem gets married to a girl named Keturah. Next we come to Noah's three sons. Shem, played by Douglas Booth, Ham, played by Logan Lerman, best known from the Percy Jackson films, and he'll be in the upcoming animated Sergeant Stubby movie, which will be in theaters this Friday. And Japheth, played by Leo McHugh Carroll. In my opinion, they are hard-working and independent boys. Also, I think Shem is the most responsible and loyal. Ham has integrity, plus he is modest and desperate to have a mate of his own. And Japheth is the most curious, and he's very kind. Next we have Ham's love interest, Naal, played by Madison Davenport, who got to be in Christmas is Here Again and the 2010 Jack and the Beanstalk movie. Though she is possibly an innocent character, it was depressing that she was left behind in the flood. Fun fact, in the beginning of Get in the Boat, Ham is married to a woman named Hannah. Next we have Noah's grandfather, Methuselah, played by Anthony Hopkins, best known for narrating The Grinch from 2000 and for playing Odin from Marvel's Thor trilogy. In this movie, Methuselah lives alone on top of a mountain and has a constant craving for berries. He also keeps hallucinogens and has some mystical powers, including the ability to repair reproductive organs, like when he cures Elah's infertility. Also, as mentioned earlier, he's friends with the Watchers due to him defending and saving them. However, it was sad that Methuselah passed away not too long before the rain fell, like in the Bible. On the other hand, I'm glad that he does not speak in gibberish cursing in this version. Finally, we come to the story's antagonist, Tubal-Cain, played by Ray Winstone, who got to be in the first Narnia movie and the fourth Indiana Jones movie. In the Bible, there is a descendant of Cain named Tubal-Cain, who is described as an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. However, it's unclear in the Bible if Tubal-Cain ever lives in the time of Noah, and there is definitely no mention of any stowaways on the ark. However, to me, this character is a terrible character. Not just because he's a sinner, but he's done all sorts of unforgivable things, like killing Noah's father, and years later, Tubal, along with his followers, attempt to attack Noah's family when the rain starts. Heck, he even manipulated Ham into killing Noah while on the ark. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Noah is a pretty bad movie. Though, it's not as bad as other films I've blogged over the years, like Joshua from 2007, Annie 2014, 8 Crazy Nights, Food Fight, Lucy, Footloose 2011, or the Angry Birds movie. The acting is pretty decent to say the least, as well as the setting and several of the effects and photography. Plus, the Watchers are pretty cool, despite the fact that they never existed in the Bible. But the story is not good in my eyes. The ark is plain looking, and the villain, Tubal-Cain, is a devilish sinner. Noah's wife, as well as his sons, including Elah, are alright, including Noah himself, though he does become messed up during a few parts of the movie. Plus, some parts are a bit too violent, disturbing, and harsh in my eyes. So, with that said, this is my least favorite film adaptation of Noah's Ark that I've ever seen, and deserves a rating of 42%, along with a huge lightning strike to it. Well, that's it for today, everyone. But before I go, I would like to invite you guys to see Get in the Boat at Musical Theater Village. If you're interested, then by all means, go to this link listed here for ticket information. But you only have until April 29th to see it. So be sure to join me for my next blog, and hopefully it'll make me feel better after going through this mess. Mustang power.